MEGO makes the Man of Steel. Here's your look at the MEGO Superman 8-inch action figure. Marty Abrams, aka the father of the action figure, has relaunched these figures in response to overwhelming demand. MEGO Corporation was started by his father David Abrams in 1954 and named by his younger brother Howard, who would say MEGO too. Howard later became head of sales for the company. MEGO Corporation has sold over 20 million of its now standard 8-inch action figures worldwide. And MEGO Corporation is proud to take over that heritage today. Before we go up and away with a review of the MEGO Superman, the first thing we're going to want to do is figure out how tall the figure stands. Not the newest of releases. This one actually was in my collection for a little bit. Finally decided to get around to reviewing him because I am a big fan of Superman, and I am actually a big fan of MEGO as well. Going to take the tape measure right to the very top of his head. And we're going to stop it right there. MEGO Superman stands 7.893 inches in height, although you could easily round that up to 8, which is usually what the MEGOs are being advertised as being. You can also switch that over, I can switch that over, we can switch that over to centimeters, revealing that MEGO Superman stands 20 centimeters tall. Now, I don't collect nearly as many superhero MEGOs as I've had lately been collecting the horror MEGOs. In fact, in the last several months that have passed, I've covered a whole range of different horror MEGOs that have been hitting store shelves. If you guys didn't know that, feel free to check out my playlist for MEGO. And there's a whole, like I said, bunch of videos that you guys can watch when you have some available time. So I haven't gotten too much into superhero MEGOs, but Superman was the figure I had to pick up. When I was younger, a short story I'll deliver to you, the viewing audience. When I was about 6 or 7, I remember having the oversized, because at one point MEGO, I believe, had started making larger scaled figures, and I had a Superman. In fact, I had 2 of them. The first Superman did break, sadly, and then my parents had to go out and buy another one of the same figure. I have still a picture in my collection. I guess you could collect photos, but I still have a photo in my collection, in my possession, of me with a Superman cake that my mom had made for my 6th or 7th birthday. And right next to me, sitting on the lawn, was a laying down MEGO Superman. I'm going to see if I can frame that photo, maybe even just recreate it now as an adult with a Superman cake and the now MEGO Superman laying next to me. Don't think I'm probably going to go to that extreme. But Superman has been something that has been in my childhood right from day one. And I guess to that extent, MEGO has also come along for the ride as well. So if I was going to be looking at a MEGO superhero, it had to be Superman as the first one. Looking at the accessory that comes included with the Man of Steel, he comes with, probably not a great idea to have him so close to the figure, he comes included with a shard of kryptonite. The kryptonite shard looks like it's solidified green lime jello. It is a hard, translucent plastic. You can kind of see my fingers running behind it. The strange thing about it, though, is while it's made of plastic, one side of it seems very visibly flattened, almost as if somebody took a chip and chipped out a piece of kryptonite. Now, where's Lex Luthor? Is he running away with that piece of kryptonite? I don't know why specifically it had to have that one flat side. I guess it's more so just so it could lay flat on whatever surface you have it on, because I guess that would make some logical sense. If it's going to be curved on the one side, you'd want to have a flatter side, which of course it can sit next to Superman. Probably don't want to put it into his hands, but let's just say, for the sake of it, if you guys want to see what it looks like, you can fit it, but just barely. It's not really intended to fit into Superman's hand. It does involve you having to sort of pry his hands away from his thumb to get it wedged in there. Like I said, it's not really supposed to be in his hand in the first place, because that would, after all, kill him. So we're going to put it right over there. Get it as far away from Superman as we possibly can. Getting a closer look, now, at MEGO Superman, the things that you would come to expect from MEGO from basically now all the way, well, from then all the way till now, pretty much still follows suits with Superman. The oversized head, the slightly smaller body proportions, and the fact that he is clothed. He actually has a fabric clothing body. And that's nice. I like that. I like that they're still sticking to what made MEGO popular in the first place. If you can overlook the fact that Superman does have the giant-sized head, I actually think it's one of the better-looking Superman heads out there. He does have the very bright blue eyes, painted pretty good as well. Also the larger painted-in eyebrows, done in that slick jet black. the same black that they've used for his hair. Flip it around so you guys can see the back of it as well. The hair is sculpted nicely. He does have the familiar Superman curl right at the top there as well. But like I said, that's a good-looking Superman head. It's just looks really big on his body, unfortunately. As for the rest of his body, underneath all of this, now if you can flip this around, and there is a Velcro closure on the back here, if you did want to open this up, and basically just underneath it would be the same stock MEGO body. They haven't changed anything from one, whether it be a superhero or it be like Chainsaw Massacre's Leatherface, they're using the exact same body. It's just the fact that the fabric stretched over across the body is going to be different. The colors that they use for Superman's costume is bright, it's vibrant, it's classic looking Superman. Right down to the fact he has his red Superman underoos. He does have the yellow belts, but it isn't so much, well, it's a separate piece, but what they've done is they've painted on the actual loops, the parts that would be attached to his underoos, essentially. And they have also painted on the buckle area as well. But this is a separate piece. I'm not really sure why specifically it had to be a separate piece, and why they wouldn't have just painted it to the rest of the costume. Because if you look at it, if you move this down, the underoos are the same fabric as the rest of his costume. So why wouldn't they have just gone the extra mile and made that a piece that was painted on, rather than actually having it as a separate piece? It's not really a negative point, but it's just strange the way that they had this separate. Doesn't make any sense to me. The Superman emblem is crisp, it's clean, it's very visible to see. It's a little small, though, because, again, when you're looking at the size of his head, it does make, then, as a result of it, everything else around him look somewhat shrunk down. And maybe that's one of the reasons why the emblem looks so small as well. The nice touch that I do like about this figure, if you flip it around on the back, not only does he have the bright red cape, but he does also have the Superman logo on the back, which is sometimes omitted with many figure releases of the Man of Steel. I don't know why sometimes they choose to leave that off completely. I guess it's just production costs. But no, MEGO did actually put that on there. It's printed on there. It's not a sticker as much as it is like an overlaid image. So they probably printed it over top of the fabric. The material that they used for the cape is actually pretty good. It's got a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of elastic stretch nature to it. So I like that as well. And it does flow pretty good, too, at a good natural length on Superman's body. Unfortunately, the one thing that I have issues with on Superman is just the nature of the way MEGOs are designed. He does have removable rubber boots. And this reminds me of the original Superman that I had in my collection as a kid. He did have removable boots as well. They're very rubbery. The downside, though, to it, you can see that he has sock feet underneath it, which is basically just a continuation of his body. If you take, though, the boot and you put it back on his feet, and you do your best to try to put him down on a surface, because the feet are so rubbery, or more so, the boots are so rubbery, it sort of springs the figure up, and sometimes it's difficult to actually get him to stand straight. Now, I didn't have as many of the issues when it came to the horror figures, because a lot of times they were using actually hard plastic for their footwear. Because Soups here is wearing more rubbery boots, half the time usually he's either swaying off to the side, or sometimes he'll just fall over completely. So this may be a case where you may want to have Superman leaning against a wall, or maybe leaning against one of the figures around him. Because unfortunately, like I said, when you have him on a surface, those rubbery boots don't do the greatest of jobs of keeping Superman from falling over. Now looking at the posability on MEGO's Superman, these figures are advertised as having 14 points of articulation. And it is as follows. His head rotates all the way around, but it isn't on a ball joint. It's just simply just pegged into place. In fact, that's how Superman's head is. It's just attached to a peg, and it's a slightly more squishier head. But it does rotate all the way around. When it comes to his arms, you can hinge them out. The thing about MEGO figures, you'll know when you are collecting these for yourself, you can always bring the arms out, and even like his legs, but there's always like a snapback or a bit of a resistance to them. I think it's just the way that they're designed internally. But when you are bringing the arms in, yeah, there's always like a bit of a snap back to it. The arms rotate back and forth. You do bend at the elbow, or he can bend at the elbow. Of course, you can bend at the elbow as well. And he does also have hand articulation as well. He has an upper torso ball joint, and that's a nice touch to include that. His legs split out. Still not really sure why the belt had to be a separate piece, but anyways, his legs go forward and back. He does have a swivel essentially where that's attached to the top of his thigh. He has a double hinge on the knee, or single hinge on the knee, and then he does have foot articulation, though it would be hard to see it, unless you had X-ray vision being able to look deep into those rubber boots, but he does have foot articulation as well. So he's basically got standard articulation, what you would come to expect now with the folks over at MEGO are producing in the way of their figures. Superman is a nice looking figure. He does have some difficulty, yes, standing. I'm not sure a lot of it is contributed to the fact that I still had the kryptonite nearby. Sorry, Soups. I should probably move that a little bit further. Short of the fact he does have some difficulties standing. He is a nice looking Superman, and he has a nice looking Superman head sculpt. Although, in cases with many of the MEGO releases, his head looks a little big when you compare it, really, to the rest of his smaller scaled body. Here in closing comments and final looks for the 8-inch action figure of Superman from the folks over at MEGO, I can't help but draw everyone's attention to the fact that on the back of the packaging of all the images of Superman that they had at their disposal, they used one with Superman in his more current attire. I don't know the reasoning for it. Maybe some of it had to do with the fact that DC, when licensing this over to MEGO, said you had to use a more current costume for Superman, because clearly he's not wearing a current costume for his release here in the figure. And I'm kind of glad that they ended up going with classic attire Superman, because this even more reminds me of the figure that I had growing up as a kid. All 2 Supermans of it. Mind you, mine was oversized, and I think I ultimately broke the ankle, or it was either the ankle or it was the knee on my first Superman, and then my poor parents had to go out and buy a second one of him. But yes, I have a good, strong attachment to MEGO, and it's not something that's going to be for everybody. I always consider MEGO to be a lot like root beer. You either like root beer or you don't. If you don't like root beer, it's really hard to sell you on a new company that's making it. Sort of the same thing for MEGO. You either like MEGO or you don't. If you like MEGO, I think this is a great Superman to pick up and add to your collection. He does have a nice, bright, vibrant costume, one of the best Superman head sculpts around, and he does have the fact that he does have the emblem on his cape, which is something that unfortunately a lot of companies seem to just omit altogether. My only real pressing issue with Superman is just one of the issues I've had overall with MEGOs is the boots. Boots generally aren't an issue when it comes to figures that are wearing shoes, because usually they're made of a harder plastic. When it comes to superheroes especially, they tend to give them rubbery boots, and they make them a little bit more difficult to stand. Superman's squishy, soft, rubbery boots do give him a little bit of a problem, just as much of a problem, okay, maybe not as much of a problem as kryptonite, but they do limit Superman's stability, and it may cause the figure to fall over. That's the only real issue that I have with this figure, but again, either you like MEGO or you don't. If you do, like I said, it's a great looking Superman to be picking up and adding to your collection. Let me know in the comments section what you guys think of this particular Superman, and perhaps for your video question for today, do you remember having a toy as a kid that you broke and your parents had to go out and buy you the exact same toy again? Let me know down below in the comments section, and also if you're new to this channel, enjoying all the content you're seeing, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. You can also move on over to the bell notification and make sure you turn that on as well. And yes, making sure as well you're keeping your Kryptonian peepers peeled, because there's definitely going to be a lot more videos coming your way. And as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.